In this video, I'm going to show you a 10-minute tour of how you can start processing your bookkeeping using JT Accounts. Once we log into the system, we will see that we get entered in to our company dashboard. In here, we can see a financial overview with a list of all of our bank accounts, how much it's owed to us, a total available monies within the business, and any overdue invoices and purchases. We can also choose to see the graph on various bank accounts on the right hand side, and I've got a 6-month P&L just listed at the bottom of the screen. We can move this dashboard around just by picking up that and just moving it wherever you'd wish to. On the left hand side we have our various modules. What I'm going to show you today is how to create customers and suppliers, start generating sales and purchase invoices, and also how to operate the bank, and also lastly how to submit your VAT return directly through the software. Firstly, to create a new customer record, all we do is click on the customers module on the left hand side. Once you click in here, we'll see I already have a customer listed in here, so I can see 5 points are there, and I can see the value that they've done with me so far is £0. To create a new customer record, all we do is just click the Create button at the top of the screen to add a new customer. Once we click in here, all you need to do is put the customer name, and it will automatically create a customer code for you. You can also choose from the sources drop down where this customer came from, so I can say this came through my website, and it'll be able to track your return on investment from various marketing activities within your business. Once I've chosen that, all I need to do is click the Create Customer button. We will now see we've created a new customer record, and if I go to the Contact Details tab, I can see that a code has been generated, their name has come through, and I can then continue to add in their address, their postcode, their full contact details within here. If I go to the Options tab on a customer record, I can choose if they've got any default purchase order reference that I want to appear every time I create a sales invoice for this customer. We can also choose their payment terms and conditions, so by default my business is set 20 days. If I've agreed to any special terms, I can change that on here, so I'm going to change that to 30 days after invoice date. If you deal with EC sales, we can continue to add in their VAT details onto the invoices also, and we can set their default sales code as well. So by default I've got sales of goods, but I could just default through that to my labour if I wish to. I can also choose the invoice template that I'd like to use that customer, and also any discount percentages I'd like to apply to their invoices. Once you start generating invoices for this client, you'll see when we go to the invoice and stats screen shortly that all of our invoices will be listed within here, and we can see their statistics on the right hand side. So the last time we invoiced this customer, how much we've invoiced them in total, and any overdue payments owing. Once I've made any amendments to this record, all I do is just click the Update button at the bottom there. What we'll see now is when we go to the customer screen on the left hand side, both of those customers are now listed with 0 transactions listed against them. To create a new sales invoice for a customer, you can either do it from the customer record just by clicking in, and at the top you have an option to create an invoice. Alternatively, you can go to the Invoices module on the left hand side of the screen and just click the Create button at the top again, and this will allow us to create an invoice. Our first invoice is created, and this is invoice number 1. If this is not the first invoice within your business, just change this number and the next invoice will be sequential from there. You can then choose a customer from the drop down box, or you can also just click the plus sign and that will add a new customer record in. Their address will come through from their customer details, or I can just enter an address in here or use a different delivery address. Their payment terms have come through onto the invoice, and our default currency is British pounds. To start adding information onto the invoice, all we do is click Add Line Item and just add as many lines onto this invoice as you wish. My default code is Sale of Goods, and I can just free type in here, so this is going to be work carried out 19th of May 2016. I can either add in the net value So if I say we charge them £500, it will calculate the VAT for me, and we can see the total listed in here. Alternatively, I can type in the total, so I can type in the gross figure, and it will calculate the net rate for you. You can change the code, so I've broken down labour and materials, and you can pre-fill that information, and you can see my daily rate has actually come through at £600 onto the system, and on materials I can just go in and key a different figure within here. You can move this around depending on how you want this to be laid out on your invoice, and once you're happy that that's complete, all you need to do is press the save button at the top of the screen. Once you've hit that save button at the top of the screen, we now have invoice number 100, status is unpaid, and if we go to the invoices module on the left, you will see that invoice now listed. To create a new invoice, all you do is repeat that process. If you have a similar amount of work and you do repeat invoices or very similar ones, you can just click the copy button at the top of the page, and we can copy that to a new invoice, and then I can just choose the different customer who that's for, and if I hit save, that has now been replicated, and we've got 2 invoices now listed in the system. If we click into an invoice, there are various options. I have at the bottom, if I start at the top, I can make an amendment, so we have an edit button. So if I want to make any changes, I can just hit edit, go down to the invoice, get rid of what I want to get rid of, or change what I want to change, hit save, and that's now been amended. At the bottom, we have the option to print it as a PDF, or if we just click email, we can now email this invoice out. What you need to do is type in an email address, or if you've got one against the customer record, this will pre-fill. And if we just look what our invoice looks like here, open it up, we can see it's got my company logo, it's got all my details on there, and it's got the invoice information as well, and it's also got my bank account information too. So we can customize what these invoice templates look like, and we'll see once my customer receives this in their inbox, they do have the option to pay online if you'd like to use this facility. So if the customer just clicks on this pay online button, that will take them through to a branded WorldPay website where they can just go and make an online payment. Alternatively, if the customer calls you up, there's another option at the bottom here just to take a card payment. All I do is click card payment and then enter the card details over the phone, and it will take a direct card payment through the system. To add a manual payment, all we do is just click add payment, and then you can just key in the payment amount, the payment date, the bank account that that's gone into, and any other notes, and then just hit save. That invoice has now been marked as paid. If we now go through to the invoice list, we can see I have 1 unpaid invoice and 1 invoice that's been paid. If we go through to customers and go through to 5 points, we will see now under invoices and stats that they've got a paid invoice in there, and we can see that the account has now got that transaction listed on there. That's how easy it is to manage customers' invoices within the system. To manage suppliers and purchases, all we do is go down to suppliers on the left hand side, and again you can see that I've got a supplier set up already. To create a new supplier, we just click create. And again, just type in the name of the supplier. It will bring through a supplier code, and you just create a supplier record. These records look very similar to your customers, and we'll see we can put in their address, all their contact details in here. If we go to other information, we can also store their bank account information. If we make back payments to our customers, it's a secure place to store that information. And also we can put in our payment terms as well. We can also set their default purchase code, so every time I generate a purchase invoice, I want it to default to materials purchased, and all of our purchases will be listed in here. If I click update, we'll now see when we go to suppliers, I have 2 suppliers listed in here. To start generating purchase invoices for suppliers, all we need to do again is click into a supplier record, and we can generate a purchase from the top of the screen, or alternatively, if we go into the purchases module on the left hand side, we can just click create a purchase. In here again we can see it defaults to number 1, but we can renumber that to fit in with the business, and we just choose the supplier from the drop down list. The payment terms have come through from the supplier record, and just like a sales invoice, all we need to do is add a line item under here, and I was going to put that I bought some materials, £1,000 worth and just hit save. That's now logged on the system and it's logged as unpaid. Just like sales invoices, these can be copied, so I can just click copy at the top, copy it to a new purchase invoice, and again we can just change the supplier on here, change any other details and hit save. You'll have the option at the bottom of a purchase invoice to print it as a PDF just like a sales invoice, and we can also email that through directly to a supplier. If we look at what our purchase invoice looks like, we'll see again it's got our logo on there, it's got the details and it's got all my information, and that will go straight through to the supplier. Once you've paid the supplier, all you need to do is generate the relevant purchase invoice, click on add payment, and again it can be a full or part payment, the payment date, the bank account it's gone into and the payment method. I'm going to say company credit card, just hit save, and that's now been recorded as paid. If we now go through to the purchases module, we can now see that one purchase invoice for Wickes has been paid and the one for B&Q is still listed as unpaid. If we go to the supplier record now and we go into B&Q, we will now see under purchases and stats that we've got that invoice listed as unpaid, and we can see the total due is still £1,200. To add in new purchase invoices, all we do is repeat that process. That's how easy it is just to manage suppliers and purchases in JT Accounts. What I'm going to show you now is how to manage your bank. If we go through to our bank module on the left hand side, we will see here that I've got 3 bank accounts listed. I have my current account, my business account and my expense account. We will see my expense account has a balance of £720. If we hit the view and add button, we will see 2 transactions have been listed, so we can see that our payment against our purchase invoice has now been recorded at £1,200. We can see the sales invoice, we've got money coming in at £1,920, and that was the payment we received from our customer 5 points. To do manual bookkeeping and add new transactions into a bank, all we do is choose the date of the transaction on the top on the left hand side, choose the code where we need to post that to, so we'll just come down and you can type in, so we'll just say that's travel, and all I do, I'm just going to type in plane to Manchester in here, how much that was. You can add in the VAT rate, so the VAT rate 20%, and then just hit the plus icon on the right hand side. We would continue down our bank statement or just add these transactions in when they've been processed. So if I just go and search interest received, I can now log interest coming into my bank, and then I can set the VAT rate at NA and then hit the plus sign. We'll now see all of those transactions are now listed in the bank. There are other methods to get those transactions into your bank. Firstly, we're going to look at bank feeds. So if I go to my current account and click import, I've actually linked this to my online banking. We will see when I log in, I can see my bank balance as of yesterday and the last 4 digits on the account. All I need to do to import transactions is just choose the date range that I want to import. I'm going to go down and I'm going to import April 2014 until the end of April 2014. All I do is click the Retrieve Transaction button, and we will see these transactions will then be on our import screen. What we can see here is I've set up some customized rules to see every time you see cash flow listed going out of my bank, I want you to post that to 5,000 materials purchased. We can also see my rent has been linked against my rent, and my interest has been posted against my interest. I've set up custom rules by hitting the matching rules button at the top of the page, and I've just set up some simple rules to say every time you see money going out or in, and this is the key word on my bank statement, I want you to create a sales invoice, a purchase invoice or a bank transaction, and then you can set the relevant information in there. As soon as you save those details and save that rule, every time you upload a statement in, it will pick up on those key rules and automatically assign those transactions to the right area within the bank. We can see at the top that I've only got 1 transaction, I've got money coming in, so if I hit the match button, it will bring up all of my unpaid invoices. So if that was a payment on that particular invoice, I can just click that and it will make that part payment against that invoice. Alternatively, I can just click the Create button if I don't have the invoice, and then I can choose the customer who it's for, the sales code it needs to go to, and then click Create. And that's now going to create a sales invoice and mark it off as paid for me. As soon as I'm happy that everything is correct on the right hand side, all I need to do is click Import Now, and we can see 6 transactions were imported, nothing failed. And if we just go and have a look at our bank from April 2014 and click Go, we can now see all of those transactions have been imported and have all been posted to the correct place within the bookkeeping software. We will now see that if I go through to invoices, we can see that invoice for 2050 was brought in and marked off as paid. The last way to get bank transactions into JT accounts is just clicking through, and if I click into Import next to my business account, instead of linking this to my online banking and using bank feeds, we can also manually upload bank statements by exporting them from your own banking system into an Excel or CSV format. Once that has been done, all you need to do is come into the bank, click the file to upload, locate the file that you've downloaded from your bank, and then click Upload. Once you've done that, you will see the total money in and total money out listed at the top right. And if we scroll down, just like our bank feed, we will see that we can set up custom rules exactly the same way as we can with the bank feed. If there's any transactions that aren't matched, all I need to do is bring up the match screen, and I can see that that was money going out to Marriott. So if I just click Create, I'm going to create a new bank transaction, and I'm just going to post that to hotels. Once I've done that, I can click Create, and we can now see that that has been assigned to the right place. I've also got some interest that's been received, so if I just hit Match, we're going to create a new transaction, and again, just type in interest and it will bring up the right code, and then just set the correct VAT rate and click Create. And we can now see everything that I've imported on that CSV statement has now been matched to the right place in JT accounts, and all I need to do is then click Import Now, and we can see that those transactions have come directly into my bank, and there they all are. And that's how easy it is just to import transactions using bank feeds or CSV uploads. The last thing I'm going to show you today is how to do a VAT return. To do this, all we need to do is click into the reporting module on the left hand side. Once we're in here, if you just scroll down to the bottom, you'll see there is a report for VAT management. Once we click on here, it will take you through to your VAT settings, and if you just click your online filing button and enter your HMRC credentials, as soon as you've saved those settings, you'll then be able to create your first VAT report. To create your first VAT report, just click that button, and we will now see all the transactions we've done today has come through, and I've got a VAT bill for £465.12. To submit that directly to HMRC, all we need to do is just click the Submit VAT Return button, and that will submit that electronically directly to HMRC. If we now click on the dashboard, we will see everything we've done today. So we'll see our bank accounts, and you can see all of our balances listed there, how much money we owe, how much is owed to us, and we can see a total revenue here, and we can see my P&L has now been adjusted. That's how easy it is to process transactions using JT accounts.